be shy. So right now, we're in a situation where Donald Trump still concedes nothing. Donald Trump, strongman, concedes nothing. Ego out of control. Now, this isn't entirely shocking considering Donald Trump is a proven habitual liar over the course of his term. It is out of context or out of norm from the standpoint of the presidency, but not from the standpoint of Trump in the last 4 years. Trump is a proven habitual liar. Also, making the argument that everyone lies or all presidents lie, while true, is an opinion that hides the scale of Donald Trump's lying in favor of contrarianism, which is also, to some degree, deceptive. There's zero to back up Trump's position, so there's nothing for me to believe that Biden hasn't won this presidency. And from my point of operation, I will function as if he has until something comes in and tells me he has not. That said, I think it's one of the most natural things in the world when people, or when there's a new president, for there to be this kind of hope, this wishfulness that something will change, something will be for the better. Oddly enough, I would even make the argument, though, that hope is a certain degree of optimistic naivety that's brought about by desperation. I think desperation breeds a certain naivety in regards to hoping that X is better, hoping that this takes place, even when you have that sneaking suspicion that it's not. In this very specific case, I'd argue that while you could say hopeful is a certain degree of naive, that over the course of time, that history or lived experience breeds a certain deep cynicism. And that is definitely true when a candidate like Biden comes in office and you have a clear idea on where he came from. You have 40-something years. And to come to a different conclusion that he's going to do something different, yeah, I think it's rather naive. Fact of the matter is that people are policy. If you want to know what a candidate is going to do, who are they putting in that office? When Donald Trump was pulling Tillerson as Secretary of State, when Pompeo gets Secretary of State, when Haspel gets a CIA director, who are these people? What have these people been known for? Pompeo, a flagrant liar. Haspel, the torture, and then destroying the tapes. You get a clear idea on what those people are going to do in that office based on who those people are and their track record. The same thing is true for Joe Biden. I understand that people want to believe something of Biden, but I would make the case they want to believe it because they feel they need to believe it, whether that's lefties who took a shower after voting for him and hopeful, or whether that's the public itself that was in desperate straits, that wanted Trump out of that office, that wanted something different. The truth is, if the guy who screams hope and change is going to use that as just a punchline in order to get votes, kind of like a Mac just saying whatever it says to the woman in order to seal the deal, and then after the fact, hey, get lost. Well, that's basically what took place in the last term with a guy screaming hope and then not even attempting to deliver quote unquote hope. So why should I come to a different conclusion with Biden? I have been down on Biden because my thought is Biden is saying whatever Biden needs to say to seal the deal. And whether that's getting Sanders out there to shield for him, whether that's getting AOC out there to shield for him, it's almost as if the Democratic Party in 2016 and 2020 got great joy out of punching Sanders as hard as possible in the genitals, with Sanders seemingly to get a sick gratification out of it. Otherwise, why does he keep doing it? Why does he keep putting himself in that position? Why do you keep incentivizing the Democratic Party to take advantage of not just you, but also lefties? Why do you keep putting this scale, this horrible figure up, this horrible role model of politics, of lefties, in regards to trying to get anything accomplished, instead of getting anything accomplished, sheepdogging to a party that doesn't believe in those things? Right now, after AOC coming out, oh yeah, I think we can push Biden on the left. And then you find out later she was talking about leaving because she didn't want to deal with a party that hated her guts. Which one of these things are true? Of course the latter is true. It's clearly true. And yet, you have lefties backing these guys. What you need to deal with is cowardice. You may come up with motivated reasoning on Joe Biden is going to do this, Joe Biden is going to do that. At the end of the day, it's cowardice. Joe Biden is not going to do squat but what he did before in regards to status quo. On Tuesday, Politico reported that Biden is appointing U.S. Representative Cedric Richmond, Democrat, Louisiana, to lead the White House Office of Public Engagement, where he is, quote, expected to serve as a liaison with the business community and the climate change activists. This is Biden's climate guy. This is his climate guru. So, if people are policy, who is this person? During the 10 years in Congress, Richmond has received roughly $341,000 from donors in oil and gas industry, the fifth highest total among House Democrats, according to previous reporting by Sludge. That includes Corporate Political Action Committee donations of $50,000 from energy and electric and natural gas utility, $40,000 from ExxonMobil, $10,000 apiece from oil companies Chevron, Phillips 66, and Valero Energy. Richmond has raked in that money while representing a congressional district that has home to 7 of the 10 most polluted census tracts in the country. This is the guy that Biden is putting to lead the climate thing in his administration. This is amazing. Richmond has repeatedly broken his promise, or broken with the party, in major climate and environmental votes. During the climate crisis that has battered his home state of Louisiana, Richmond has joined Republicans to vote to increase fossil fuel exports, promote pipeline development. He also voted against Democratic legislation to place pollution limits on fracking, and he voted with GOP legislation to limit the Obama administration's authority to more stringently regulate the practice. One more point. Overall, Richmond had received a lifetime rating of 76% from the League of Conservation Voters, and he has scored 46% in 2018, one of the lowest ratings for any Democrat in Congress. Now, come to Jesus. When I've made the argument that you have no leverage, you have nothing at your disposal. If you can't get Medicare for all over the finish line with 88% Democratic support, then you are basically worthless in regards to policy and getting those policies accomplished. I was blissfully unaware of what you had at your disposal if you couldn't use the election itself as leverage to get in office. If you have this huge looming election where your leverage is clearly, you get my vote when you represent my interests. If you can't do that, then you will forever lose. You will forever be in a position of you have nowhere else to go. In the same way that the Republican Party, their problem in the future will be math, that the Democratic status, their argument is just going to be, coast. If Georgia goes, if Texas goes, the Republican Party will forever, at the very least in the foreseeable future, be locked out of the White House. Well, that's their issue. That's the crux they have to deal with. They have to deal with the racial issue. They have to go for the black vote and try to get at least 15% to basically undercut and kneecap Democrats. Well, whether they do it or not is secondary. But from the standpoint of the left, our objective, our goal, has to deal with this notion of you have nowhere else to go. And the way you do with that is let them fail. And until you let them fail, they're going to continue to take advantage of you just like this. Shane, what do you think? This is supposed to be climate. AOC and all these people keeps telling me that they're going to push Democrats. And yet, the person who Joe Biden has to be the liaison for this stuff is an oil guy. Is an oil guy. Love it. Love it. Love being right. What do you think, Shane?